Dawn broke over the Kharkiv region like any other morning. Frost glittered on abandoned farmland, mist clung to drainage ditches, and the world held its breath in that perfect silence before chaos erupts. At 0547 hours, that silence shattered. Not from artillery thunder or the roar of jets, but from something far more precise. Something that had been waiting in the shadows for weeks, learning every routine, mapping every weakness, counting every heartbeat until the moment was right. A Russian mechanized convoy, a 127 vehicles strong, rolled confidently through what they believed was secure territory. Behind armored glass, officers checked their watches and radioed position updates. Supply trucks hummed with the weight of ammunition and fuel. Mobile command units pulsed with electronic chatter. To them, this was just another resupply run, another routine mission in a war that had settled into predictable patterns. They had no idea they were driving into a trap 3 months in the making. Because while Russian commanders focused on traditional threats, Ukraine had been perfecting something entirely different. Not overwhelming force, but surgical precision. Not brute strength, but patient intelligence. And at dawn on November 8th, that patience would transform 42 kilometers of rural highway into a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered assumptions. The convoy never saw it coming. How could they? The threat wasn't in the sky or behind tree lines. It was embedded in the road itself, woven into the landscape they trusted, hidden where no radar could detect and no thermal scope could reveal. For 89 days, Ukrainian engineers had been preparing this stretch of asphalt, turning familiar ground into a weapon more devastating than any missile system. This is the story of how modern warfare evolved beyond recognition in a single morning. How a force outnumbered and outgunned rewrote the rules of engagement using nothing but time, technology, and the kind of tactical brilliance that turns weakness into overwhelming strength. Because what happened at dawn wasn't just an attack. It was a masterclass in asymmetric warfare that would reshape military doctrine for decades to come. The preparation began in August. While international headlines focused on frontline battles and territorial exchanges, Ukrainian special operations teams were conducting a different kind of war. Deep reconnaissance units, moving only at night, began mapping a specific corridor of Highway M03. Not the strategic value of the road, but its vulnerabilities. Every drainage culvert, every bridge support, every section of asphalt that could be weaponized without detection. The target wasn't chosen randomly. Intelligence intercepts had revealed Russian logistics patterns with mathematical precision. Every third Tuesday, mechanized convoys moved supplies from staging areas near Belgorod to forward positions south of Kharkiv. The route never varied. Departure times held to a 12-minute window. Even radio frequencies followed predictable cycles. Russian efficiency had become Russian predictability, and predictability is the enemy of survival in modern conflict. Ukrainian engineers didn't dig trenches or plant obvious mines. Instead, they embedded something far more sophisticated. Fiber optic networks threaded through existing infrastructure, connecting to a web of sensors so sensitive they could detect the vibration signature of individual vehicle types. Pressure plates disguised as routine road repairs. Communication nodes hidden inside utility boxes that had been there for years. The highway looked exactly as it always had, but beneath the surface, it had become a 42-kilometer sensor grid waiting for the right moment to activate. The technology wasn't exotic or expensive. Much of it came from commercial sources, repurposed agricultural sensors, modified industrial equipment, even smartphone components arranged in configurations no military manual had ever considered. Ukrainian ingenuity had transformed civilian technology into a weapon system that cost less than a single tank, but could destroy an entire armored formation. For weeks, the network lay dormant. Russian convoys passed overhead, their drivers unaware they were being cataloged, their vehicles weighed and measured, their radio chatter recorded and analyzed. The system learned their patterns, mapped their formations, calculated their vulnerabilities with the patience only machines possess. Every transit provided more data, more precision, more certainty about when and how to strike. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A defected Russian logistics officer provided the final piece of intelligence Ukrainian planners needed. Not troop movements or equipment locations, but something far more valuable. The exact timing of a high-value convoy scheduled to move critical supplies to forward positions. Artillery shells, fuel bladders, communication equipment, and most importantly, the mobile command post that coordinated 3 battalion tactical groups across the southern sector. This wasn't just another resupply run. It was the lifeline that kept Russian operations in the region functional. Destroy this convoy, and entire formations would be paralyzed for weeks. The intelligence was verified through multiple sources, cross-referenced with intercepted communications, and confirmed by satellite imagery showing the assembly of vehicles at the departure point. Ukrainian commanders faced a critical decision. Traditional ambush tactics would require exposing their forces to superior Russian firepower. Artillery strikes would telegraph their positions and invite retaliation. Air power was limited and vulnerable to Russian air defenses. But the sensor network offered something entirely different. The ability to strike with perfect timing and complete deniability, turning the road itself into a weapon. The final preparations took place under cover of civilian repair work. Municipal vehicles, legitimate road maintenance crews, even agricultural equipment moved through the target zone, each adding another layer to the trap. What looked like routine infrastructure maintenance was actually the installation of the most sophisticated ambush system ever deployed in modern warfare. Temperature sensors to detect engine heat signatures, acoustic arrays to identify specific vehicle types, pressure monitors calibrated to distinguish between supply trucks and armored fighting vehicles, communication relays to coordinate the timing of multiple simultaneous strikes, and at the heart of it all, a command algorithm that could process incoming data and execute a complex attack sequence faster than human reflexes could respond. The convoy departed Belgorod at 05:12 hours, exactly as intelligence had predicted. 127 vehicles in a formation stretched across 8.3 kilometers of highway. Lead elements consisted of reconnaissance vehicles and electronic warfare platforms. The main body carried supplies critical to continued operations. Command elements traveled in the center, protected by the heaviest armor available. Trail security brought up the rear, scanning for threats that might approach from behind. What they didn't scan for was the road beneath their wheels coming alive. At 05:31 hours, the first vehicles crossed the activation threshold. Pressure sensors registered the lead reconnaissance unit, a BTR-82A weighing 16.5 tons, moving at 47 kilometers per hour. The network processed the signature, confirmed identification, and began its countdown sequence. Behind it, the convoy stretched like a mechanical serpent, each vehicle adding another data point to the algorithm's calculations. The Ukrainian command post, hidden 23 kilometers away in an abandoned grain facility, monitored the approach through encrypted data streams. Operators watched green icons move across digital maps, each representing tons of Russian steel advancing into the killing zone. Heart rate steady, voices calm, fingers poised over activation keys that would unleash months of preparation in seconds. But the system wasn't designed for immediate activation. It was programmed to wait, to analyze, to ensure maximum damage with surgical precision. As vehicles passed over embedded sensors, the network built a real-time model of the convoy's composition. Supply trucks clustered in the middle, command vehicles maintaining formation discipline, electronic warfare platforms broadcasting their signatures like beacons to anyone listening carefully enough. The algorithm identified the priority target at 05:39 hours, a mobile command post designated R142NSA. Its antenna array visible to overhead surveillance, its electronic emissions confirming its role as the convoy's nerve center. Around it traveled the most critical supplies. artillery rounds for 3 different caliber systems, fuel bladders containing enough diesel to sustain operations for 2 weeks, communication equipment worth more than most small nations' defense budgets. Ukrainian operators received the target designation and felt their breath catch. This wasn't just a convoy, it was the operational backbone of Russian forces across 180 square kilometers of contested territory. Destroy this formation, and enemy capabilities would collapse not for days, but for months. The strategic impact would ripple far beyond the immediate battlefield. The network continued its patient watch as more vehicles entered the sensor grid. Each provided additional targeting data, velocity calculations, spacing measurements that would determine the precise timing of the attack. The road had become a 42-kilometer laboratory, analyzing its subjects with mechanical detachment while they remained completely unaware of the scrutiny. Inside the Russian command vehicle, Colonel Viktor Petrov studied his tactical display with satisfaction. The convoy was making excellent time, maintaining proper spacing, following communication protocols with textbook precision. His radio crackled with position reports from unit commanders, confirming everything was proceeding according to plan. Weather was clear, visibility excellent, no signs of enemy activity along the route. Petrov had commanded similar missions dozens of times over the past 8 months. The Ukrainians had shown little capacity for complex ambush operations in this sector. Their tactics remained predictable, focused on hit-and-run attacks against isolated vehicles rather than coordinated strikes against major formations. His convoy represented too much firepower, too much armor, too much electronic protection for Ukrainian forces to engage directly. He was wrong on every count. At 0544 hours, the algorithm reached its decision point. Optimal target distribution confirmed. Weather conditions stable. No civilian traffic detected. All safety parameters satisfied. The network prepared to execute a strike sequence that had been rehearsed in simulation thousands of times but never tested against real targets moving at combat speed. Ukrainian operators received the final countdown on their displays. 3 minutes until activation. 2 minutes, 90 seconds. The tension in the command post became palpable, months of planning condensing into moments of irreversible action. Communications checks confirmed all systems operational. Backup protocols verified. Emergency abort procedures standing by if anything went wrong. 60 seconds. The convoy's lead elements passed marker 7, a seemingly innocent kilometer post that triggered the final sequence. Deep beneath the asphalt, shaped charges began their arming cycle, each positioned with mathematical precision to maximize damage while minimizing the risk of premature detonation. The road itself was transforming from passive infrastructure into active weapon. 30 seconds. Fiber optic networks pulsed with targeting data, distributing strike coordinates to dozens of hidden emplacements. The convoy continued its steady advance, maintaining formation discipline, radioing routine position updates. Russian commanders remained focused on external threats while the greatest danger lay directly beneath their tracks. 15 seconds. The algorithm performed its final calculations, adjusting for wind speed, vehicle velocity, optimal fragmentation patterns. Each charge would detonate in sequence, creating a cascade of destruction timed to prevent any vehicles from escaping the killing zone. The mathematics of warfare reduced to microsecond precision. 10 seconds. Ukrainian operators held their breath as green lights confirmed system readiness across all sectors. The convoy was perfectly positioned, stretched across 41 activation points, with priority targets locked into the center of the formation where maximum damage would result. 5 seconds. Colonel Petrov glanced at his watch and reached for his radio to transmit the scheduled position report. His convoy was exactly on schedule, exactly where it was supposed to be, following procedures that had kept them safe for months. 3 seconds. The algorithm detected the final confirmation signal and initiated its execution sequence. Electrical impulses raced through fiber optic cables at the speed of light, carrying death to every corner of the sensor grid. 1 second. The road beneath 127 Russian vehicles came alive with mechanical fury. 0. Dawn erupted into fire and thunder as Ukraine's patience finally found its reward. By 0547 hours, silence returned to Highway M03. But it wasn't the same silence that had greeted the dawn. This was the silence of absence, of supply lines severed, of operational capacity reduced to smoke and twisted metal scattered across frozen asphalt. Ukraine had proven that in modern warfare, victory doesn't always announce itself with thunder. Sometimes it whispers through fiber optic cables, calculates through algorithms, and strikes with the patience of months compressed into seconds. The road had spoken, and its message would echo through Russian command centers for years to come.